one, go.
Hi everyone, this is Louisa County Extension Office. We are going to be doing egg hatching project. My name is Samantha Jameson. I am the Program Director of 4-H, Youth Enrichment, and Ag Education. And behind the camera is Abby Boyson, and she will be helping me with this live lesson. So, first I wanted to explain why we're doing this. Last week we had taken our incubator and our lesson to the Louisa Muscatine School. With COVID-19, that school has closed, so we are doing hatching at the Extension Office with those incubators that were already set. First, I would like to thank our sponsors. So this is sponsored by the Louisa County Extension Office, Louisa County Farm Bureau, and the Community Foundation of Louisa County. We would not be able to do this without any of those organizations. And with that, Abby will go through the life cycle.
Okay. Good morning, I'm Abby Boyson, and I'm a nutrition program assistant at Louisa County Extension, and I've been enlisted by Samantha to help out with this lesson. So I'm going to read to you a little bit about the lifestyle of eggs. Chicks go through different stages in its life, which is called a life cycle. The different stages are egg, chick, and adult. It takes 21 days for a chick to hatch from an egg. Hatching means that the chick will break open the egg and come out of it. During these 21 days, the chick will be going from what is called an embryo, which is small unhatched offspring that is developing, to a fully developed chick. We will be putting these eggs into an incubator for 21 days until they hatch. So we have our countdown here with all of these lovely eggs. We're going to go through 1 through 8 because we've missed the first few days of school being canceled. But this is what the stages will look like with each egg. So day 1, the inside of an egg. Let's see what's going on with the eggs. Looks like this. Can you see it? Okay. Day 1, cells are already specializing. Muscle, nerve, and digestive cells will appear, and the eyes and blood vessels begin to form. A lot going on the first day. Day 2. And so normally the students would get to open these. Okay, it looks like we have some activity going on in here. Can you see it? On day 2, the heart and ears form and the heart begins to beat. Important day on day 2. Day 3 of our little egg. Open it up. Oh. On day 3, we have distinguishable head and tail. Leg and wing buds can be seen. Specialized cells begin to form tongue, liver, kidneys, and lungs. Can you see that? Okay, day 3. Day 4, the toes begin to form, mostly present but tiny. Embryo separates from the yolk. And on day 5, so exciting, here we go. On day 5, the reproductive organs develop and their leg and bones form. On day 6, the beak becomes visible, the wing bends at the elbow, and the intestines begin to loop. We're almost to day 8. Day 7, feather buds appear. The eye develops rapidly, and the knees start to bend. And here we are, we're current, day 8. So today is day 8 of our eggs hatching. And today they should look like this. And more feather buds are appearing, and the egg tooth forms. Egg tooth. Okay. Samantha, can I turn it back to you?
Yes.
Talk about the incubator?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see what's going on here.
So first, just so you guys know, she was going through a lot of different things that are going inside that egg. Later on, we're going to actually candle these eggs, and candling just means that we're going to be able to look inside. So back in the olden days, they literally took a candle that had fire to see inside the egg, because fire makes light. So then you can see inside the egg. We've got a handy dandy flashlight, very bright light going on. So we've got much more developed ways of looking inside the egg, but it's still called candling. So our incubator is quite fancy. Makes it much easier for teachers to work with. So it is automatic. It will count down the days on here. So it says we're on day 14, and that's just because we're going backwards from 21. And we actually plug this in a little bit later in the day, so more like 10:30. So around that time, it'll actually go to saying that it's day 8. So the temperature is at 98.9, and that's the temperature that we want in order to keep the eggs really warm. We need to keep the eggs warm because normally they would have a hen sitting on top. And that hen sitting on top is going to keep the eggs really, really, really warm. And that's what's needed in order for them to hatch. Inside the incubator, we've got this little insert, and it turns every hour. So it just causes the eggs to just kind of slightly rotate. And they're rotating or turning because the hen would sit there and use her beak to turn the eggs themselves while she's sitting on them. And that's important because that way the chick is developing evenly. It's not getting stuck on any of the sides of the egg. So that is the incubator. And now we're going to talk about the parts of the egg. So I have got a couple eggs. These are store-bought eggs that I'm going to open up and show you. So first, what is the difference between these eggs that we buy in the store that you get in a carton? This. You can also get brown eggs or green eggs. The important thing to know when you get store-bought eggs and they're different colors is there's no difference. All it is that if they were fertilized eggs, which means that a rooster and hen were together, so that way it makes the fertilized eggs, they are going to produce different chicken breeds. So similar to how you have different types of dogs, there's different types of chickens. So that different colored egg just means it's a different kind of chicken. So we're going to open up our store-bought egg and show you the inside of an egg, because we don't want to do that with our eggs that are in the incubator. And our plate is not very strong, so it's kind of hard to crack open the egg. But I got to be careful because I don't want to pop anything. All right, so come in real close. All right, so right here that we broke open is called the shell. There's a little bitty fabric-y looking part just inside the shell, and that is a membrane. There's a lot of different membranes inside of an egg. All right, so this part on the outside that looks really clear, we're simply calling it the white for the kindergartners. However, the correct name for that is the albumin. And then the yellow, most of you probably know what that's called. That is called the yolk. Then we've got a couple different things that are really interesting, but very important. So this white, ropey looking piece, there's one on the other side of the yolk too. These would be on the ends of the shell, on each end. It would sit on each end and would attach the yolk to the shell and keep it so it's not moving inside of the shell. And that's really important because when you have a chick developing inside there, you don't want it to sit there and move around. You want it to stay in the center, and then how we talked about rotating the eggs, how they're not getting stuck to the shell. This helps so they don't get stuck to the sides of the shell. Okay, now we're gonna try and find the germ spot. And that is a really, really, really small white spot. And I found it. I'm just trying to rotate it for you guys to see without popping the yolk, because then we're not gonna be able to see it. All right, so that really, really, really small white spot, not sure if you can see it. There we go. That really small white spot is actually called the germinal disc, but for the kindergartners, we called it the germ spot. And that is where the part of the embryo is going to develop from. So the entire large chick is going to develop from that germ spot. That is the spot of fertilization. So we're going to go back through it again. We've got the shell with the membrane. We've got the egg white, or the albumin. We've got the yolk. We've got the rope-like structures, which I don't think I actually told you what that's called. And that's a really fun word.
I love it.
Chalazi. All right, if you ever open up an egg with your parents, you can say, hey, I see the chalazi. And some of your parents might not even know what you're talking about. And then we've got the germ spot, and that's that really, really, really small white spot. So in our fertilized eggs that are over in the incubator, if we were to open up one of those on day 1, that germ spot would look more like a ring. So it'd be hollow on the inside and it'd be white all the way around. So that's the only difference you can see on day 1 between the store-bought unfertilized eggs and the fertilized eggs we have in the incubator. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Abby, and she's going to read a book for us.
Okay. My Family's Egg Farm by Katie Olthoff. Hi, my name is Cole, and this is my family farm. We raise corn, soybeans, pigs, and chickens. Our chickens lay eggs that we collect and sell. There are different types of chickens and different types of chicken farms. Some chickens are raised for their meat. They are called broilers. Some chickens are raised for their eggs. They are called layers. Our chickens are layers. Our chickens are all white and lay eggs with white shells. Brown chickens will lay eggs with brown shells. Our chickens live inside these barns. Living indoors protects the chickens from bad weather and predators like foxes. The barns also keep the birds healthy from disease. There are about 165,000 chickens on our farm. Some egg farms are much smaller than ours. Some are much bigger. The chickens come to our farm when they are about 4 months old. These are called pullets. They start laying eggs within a couple of weeks after they arrive. Chickens lay eggs every day for over a year. Then they take a break for about 6 weeks. During that time, their bodies rest and they build up strength. Then they begin laying eggs again. Our chickens live in groups of 3 or 4 or more. The groups stay together in cages. Inside the cages, there are water spigots for them to drink from. Our chickens eat feed made from corn and soybeans. 4 times a day, fresh feed is automatically brought to the chickens. Computers control the equipment in our barns. Lights and fans keep the chickens comfortable. We check out the chickens at least twice a day. We make sure the equipment is working correctly, and we make sure the chickens are healthy. The floors of the cages are made out of wire. The waste from the chickens drops through the wire onto a conveyor belt below. Every hour, the conveyor belt is cleaned. This helps keep the cages, the birds, and the eggs clean. Each chicken lays about 1 egg per day. The cages are tilted so the eggs roll to their own conveyor belt. Then the eggs are sorted and weighed. Some farmers check the quality of the egg by holding it up to a bright light and looking inside. We load our eggs on trucks and sell them to a food company. The eggs go to a plant where they are cracked. Then they are used in recipes and foods like pancake mix. Many eggs are sold in grocery stores for people to eat. Eggs can be eaten hard-boiled, cooked, scrambled, or fried. My family and I eat a lot of eggs. They are a good source of protein. I need protein to grow strong if I want to become a wrestler, a police officer, or a farmer. And the end. My Family's Egg Farm by Katie Olthoff. Okay. So I can turn it back over to Samantha. We're going to talk about the incubator.
All right, so next we're gonna actually candle the eggs, but in order to keep our eggs safe, we have to make sure we wash our hands before we touch the eggs. And since I played around inside that gooey egg, I'm gonna have to go wash my hands. It's also important for everyone to wash their hands during this COVID-19. So make sure you're using running warm water and soap, and you're washing for at least 20 seconds.
Are you going to sing the Iowa State University fight song?
You want to sing it for me?
I don't know it.
I don't either.
I know the Iowa fight song.
I do too.
Oh.
We're 2 Iowa State working employees that happen to be Hawkeye fans. So unfortunately, we don't actually know the Iowa State farm song word for word, which my dad would tell you is very sad because I actually went to Iowa State. Whoops.
But I graduated from Iowa, so it's
that's
okay.
fine.
It's okay.
All right, got my hands all washed. And if you don't know either of those fight songs, another good song for you to sing is Happy Birthday. And just sing it twice. All right, I've got my hands nice and washed. So now we're gonna go candle our eggs. So remember that candling is just having a bright light on our eggs so we can look inside. And then we've got this nice dome that we just slide the egg inside, put the lid on, and then we can look right inside this eyepiece and see the egg very easily. So I am gonna load an egg in there.
Can I see the inside of that? What's that look like?
So, hold on, there might be a bright light, so be careful. So there's the light with the candler. And I'm going to get one of the lighter colored eggs first to candle. So we just set it in the incubator carefully. And then we put the lid on top. And then we look down. And I'm gonna reposition it so that way you guys can actually see stuff. On day 8, there's not very much that we can actually see inside the egg. Mainly those blood vessels are what we're gonna see. And I'm getting the blood. Okay, so we're gonna bring our camera and look down in the eyepiece.
Okay, so I'll let you.
All right, so you're looking inside the egg. Like I said, it's hard to see inside the egg at this stage because really it's mainly those blood vessels that are forming. But you can see the light colored side on your left, and that's mainly your egg white. And then the darker side on the right is all that blood vessels forming. So your chick is developing over on the right side. So we're gonna look back at our countdown to hatch. So this is what it's going on.
Oops, sorry.
Oops. That's what's going on inside the egg. But it's very hard for us to actually see that much development because remember that shell is still there. So it's really hard to see through the shell. This candling just helps us with that. So remember on day 8, the more feather buds appear, so that just means your feathers are starting to grow, and then the egg tooth forms. And that egg tooth is a part on the end of the beak that only these hatching chicks are gonna have. And it's going to fall off right after they hatch. It's just a stronger portion of the beak that they use in order to break out. So it's important that we candle every single egg every so often so that way we can make sure that these eggs are going to actually be developing. Because if we have a bad egg in there, which means that the chick has died, which is life, unfortunately, things die. When we have a bad egg, we're gonna wanna throw that away pretty quickly because if it stayed in that incubator and it's really hot inside that incubator, it's going to damage the other eggs because it might burst. And when it bursts, then all the germs from the bad egg are gonna get on top of all the other good eggs, and that might cause all the other good eggs to potentially die off too. So, this one is very hard to see into. And unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to look inside every single egg because if you look at all of our eggs, we have a lot of darker colored eggs. So these dark browns and these greens are going to be really, really hard to look into just because that color of the shell is so much darker. So these lighter colored ones right here are going to be the easier ones to candle. Oh, we can actually see some blood vessels in this. It's not just a lump of blood. So, if you're looking up towards the top, you see a couple lines of blood vessels. So that's what's forming throughout the entire chick in that dark space. So, for those of you that don't know what blood vessels are, if you look on your arm, you see that bluish colored lines. So those are our veins, and there's also arteries. But what those blood vessels, all of those are called blood vessels, do is it takes blood throughout your entire body. So that's really important for that chick to be developing at the very beginning. All right, so we are not going to candle every single egg just because I said that it's hard to see. But that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. We will be doing another live session for our next lesson, and we will be posting that on our Facebook page when we are doing that live session. Thank you guys all for tuning in. And I hope you're learning a little bit about egg hatching. And I hope you guys get excited about when these eggs actually hatch and we'll see baby chicks.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.